Let me make this very, very clear. Just the fact that you will go on a lengthy streak on nofap doesn't mean that you will quit your porn addiction. Why? Because the day count, the streak that you reach, should symbolize the transformation that you've gone throughout that period. Just the fact that you reach some day doesn't guarantee that you made that transformation. You could have reached that by sheer luck. I had a person who went on a 30-day streak because their friend installed cameras in their room. What happens if those cameras go away, or if that person goes to live in another house, for example? It's not sustainable. So the most important thing that I like my younger self to understand is that going on a lengthy streak is a byproduct of becoming a more virtuous person. Now, I'm a Christian, so I try to base my methods and tactics on the teachings of the Bible and Jesus Christ. So the last time I relapsed was on August 26th. Now today is October 26th, so it's been exactly 2 months on nofap for me. Today I want to share some of the lessons and benefits I experienced during this time. Lesson number 1, you have to take this seriously. I have too many people who I try to help, but a lot of that practical advice just seem to go from one ear and out of the other. Taking it seriously means that you are actually going to take steps, you're going to develop certain mindsets, and for that, you will need to do some actual work. So you need to be prepared. However, one thing that I'll give it to you is that doubt about yourself, about your abilities, about your addiction, and how badly rooted it is, can prevent you from being able to take it seriously because you don't really believe that you can quit. And that's what dragged me down for all those years. I was addicted for 10 years, and for 5 years I was trying to quit, but only about recently I started seeing real progress. And the reason was the change, the shift in my mindset. Now, as I said, I'm a Christian, so I believe in Jesus Christ, I believe in God, right? But the thing with addiction is that I thought that the addiction was creating a distance between me and Jesus. And so I felt unworthy. And so I was thinking that God is kind of baiting me at the other side of this addiction, right? But what I failed to realize is that God doesn't really expect me to be perfect. And He's not waiting for me. He's right beside me walking this road, waiting for me to realize that He's where. Now, let me ask you one question. What would faith mean if your life was perfect? Probably not that much, because you wouldn't need to actually believe in things getting better. You wouldn't need to believe in God, that He has a plan for you, right? And so in the midst of trials and challenges, problems, your faith gets tested. Now, my faith wasn't as strong a while ago, and it was a challenge for me to strengthen my faith with this problem that I had to overcome. So if you find yourself that you are not taking this seriously enough, maybe because you don't really believe that you are good enough to quit, or that your life may be miserable either way, I invite you to strengthen your faith in God. Now, moving on to the second learning lesson that I learned. And by the way, I coached over 70 people now, and I developed this porn addiction quitting roadmap. So you can see it right now on the screen. If you want more information and to know exactly how to implement this roadmap for yourself, you can join the community in the description down below. It's free. Now, the biggest transformation I found that was key for quitting porn was becoming a calmer, more peaceful person. Now, a while ago, I made a video that I made because I did a test online, which told me that I have a high probability of having ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Regardless if I actually have it or not, I have a tendency to be kind of anxious. And the way I deal and cope with that anxiousness, I just go on social media. I try to distract myself. It's kind of a form of escapism. And learning how to deal with that anxiety, those anxious racing thoughts, was a game changer because I learned how to be at peace with myself, how to entertain myself without needing external dopamine-inducing sources. And so, for example, I struggled with my lustful fantasies while laying in bed, for example, at night. And then I learned to be calm, and I was able to withstand those urges because I did the work in the beginning. By the way, that's how you know you take it seriously. You do the work. Now, how do you become a calmer person? That's a very good question. So a lot of people think that they need to implement a lot of new habits. But first, I would invite you to destroy the house of bad habits first, before starting to build a new house of new, better habits. So one of the worst habits that I had was short form social media. It's ADHD inducing. Also, it tends to trigger a lot. Out of 1,000 shorts, let's say, or TikToks that I watch, there's gonna be at least 10 that are going to trigger me. And when I put that strain on myself to deal with those urges, then I could not deal with them in the first place with zero willpower. And so once you get rid of those bad habits that you use for escapism, you can add certain habits that you will start feeling like something's missing, like a void opening you, because you are so used to escaping those negative feelings, and suddenly there's none of that. So you need to add new habits. And one of the best habits that I found for myself was just going outside for a walk whenever I feel anxious. It works so well on so many levels. First of all, when you're outside, you are as far away from temptation and relapsing as possible. Like you're not going to jerk off in the middle of the park. Hopefully. Secondly, give your mind rest. And while you're walking, you can kind of think about your plan of what you're going to do when you come back. Also, physiologically, you're just breathing fresh air and getting more oxygen into your brain, which helps eliminating that brain fog. And also, what I like to do is a gratitude practice whenever I'm outside. I see all those trees, I see all those creations of God, and I just can't help but feel grateful for these things. For me, seeing the sunset is like one of the biggest joys right now. Now, the third thing that I want to talk about in this particular video is called the urge emergency protocol. So here's the thing. Previously, I talked about more philosophical things, right? Here's the nitty-gritty details. Here's a very down-to-earth tactic to use whenever you are tempted to relapse in the future. So the problem that I had whenever I felt like relapsing is that I didn't really have a game plan whenever I was in that moment. I did all those habits, but I didn't really have a game plan at the exact moment when I'm feeling tempted. And so if you know exactly what you're going to do whenever you get tempted, it's so much easier. It eliminates so much guesswork, and it's so much more effective to overcome your urges. So here's the urge emergency protocol at its simplest form, right? The first step is awareness. Become aware of the urge that you have. The second and third steps are interconnected. So the second step, as it's written in the Bible, flee from sexual immorality, right? I see fleeing from sexual immorality as a twofold solution. First, you get up and leave the physical environment that's kind of making you agitated, right? You just stand up and go into another room or outside, for example. That's physical fleeing, right? The second fleeing is spiritual fleeing. While you are outside and you are not tempted by, for example, your laptop, I spiritually flee from the temptation by praying, letting God into my mind instead of lustful fantasies. So that's my urge emergency protocol. I've done this exact protocol, all of this, for these 60-day periods, and it helped me survive through those times when I barely was able not to relapse. So for me, for example, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and get tempted. So previously that would be a death sentence for me, because this situation at night in your bed is the most comfortable private place there is. So if you try to fight that urge, like laying in bed, it's just a losing battle. Eventually you'll relapse because you can't really find that willpower when you're tired or you've just woken up. So I've done this at least several times in the middle of the night when I have urges. All right, I become aware of the urge, right? And I know that I'll have to use a little bit of willpower, not as much as fighting the urge, but a little bit to get out of bed, go to another room, and to flee spiritually by praying. Awareness, physical and spiritual fleeing. That's the urge emergency protocol. Now let's talk about the benefits of NoFap. And I know that a lot of people care about how NoFap helps you with women. So let's talk about you. I got more attention from girls, but it's not because they can smell retention. I don't believe in that. But it's because when you are on this NoFap semen retention, when you are on this porn quitting journey, you save a lot of vital energy. And when you have an energy overflow, kind of want to start using that by making connections with other people. So what I noticed in myself is that I'm more willing to make eye contact with people. And you know that when someone looks at you, you can subconsciously feel it. And when you turn around and make that eye contact with that person, when you are on NoFap, you are that person that was looking in the first place. And girls and other people just seem to subconsciously feel that you're looking at them, and they start looking at you too. So that was at least my experience. Now, as an introvert, I was also more interested in sparking up conversations. So just a couple of days ago, I was sitting in a queue waiting for my driver's license to be renewed. And there was this girl sitting next to me that was waiting in a line too. And we were sitting there for a couple of hours, and I chatted her up. Just small talk, talking about how we have to wait so long for such a short procedure. First, she was kind of reluctant, but at the end, she smiled and we had a really lovely conversation. And the reason why she smiled, I think, is because she could see from my eyes, because I was holding eye contact, that I'm kind of a pure person, or at least not a degenerate. And I think it shows. You have that vitality. You have that good aura around you. And that shows in your actions, in your words, in the way you carry yourself. Now, another benefit I notice is very strange too. A lot of those semen retention guys, NoFap guys, talk about how their face starts glowing. And it's weird, but one time my mom actually told me that my face was glowing. And the reason behind that those guys give is that the semen that you don't waste, nutrients in it instead go to your face. Now, I'm not sure if I believe that, but what I will say is that my face probably could have glowed because I started taking more care of myself. Now, of course, I have a terrible pimple right here, but compared to what I was before, I can definitely see improvements. Now, I'm not sure if NoFap made my face glow, but I'm sure that NoFap made me believe that I was worth of taking a better care of myself. I started washing my face with a cleanser, putting on moisturizer from time to time, and that's probably what showed. And that's the psychological benefit of NoFap. You feel like you deserve better. You start building that discipline, having respect for yourself. And then you have respect for yourself, you start respecting the way you look, the way you dress, the way you appear to other people. And so I think that's where the biggest benefit lies with NoFap. And so here's the video. I hope you enjoyed and found it helpful. If you want community, guidance, and accountability for free, join the community in the description down below.